Hi there, I'm Paul Brickell, and I've been working with Poplar HARCA in various different ways since about 1999. So Poplar HARCA is a strange name, and it stands for Poplar, which is a part of East London in Tower Hamlets. And the HARCA bit stands for Housing and Regeneration Community Association. Poplar HARCA was born really out of an idea that gathering local communities together and to do something about their place together was a good thing. I mean, there was a kind of a fashion at the end of the 1990s which believed in localism. I mean, that's the reason were invented. We were invented in the late 1990s with probably 40 or so other organisations like us across the country as a mechanism for investing in council housing estates that had had no investment for decades. The first thing we did was to invest in improvements in people's homes, just in the quality of the fabric, in the kitchens and the bathrooms and the common areas, and etc., etc. And then to completely rejig the housing management services, the repair services, the estate management services, and then then have to get to a position where people are in homes that are pleasant to live in. That you then do tackle the safety issues, the fire safety issues, the damp safety issues, and so forth. And so that's where we started, really. And you do that by listening to people and then by doing, telling what you're going to do and then doing it. And I think one of the things that the sector struggles with and knows it struggles with is that we have very large housing associations, which are spread nevertheless, quite thinly across the country. So if you've only got a couple of hundred homes or, even 1,000 homes in one place, and then you've got a couple of hundred, 100 miles away, it's really hard to be focused. Whereas the advantage we have in Poplar is we have 10,000 or so homes in a very small area. And so we can focus very hard on that place and those people who live there. So I think probably the role of residents is absolutely central to that, and making resident leadership real, I think, is key. When we say that residents are involved in leadership, we have residents on our board. Indeed, for a number of years earlier in our existence, the chair of the board was a local resident. I think it's really important to say we don't have residents on the board because they're residents. We have a skills-based board, and what we do is we search for individuals who are residents who could become board members. That does mean you have to go looking, and there's an assumption still, I think, that in disadvantaged parts of the country and in the old social housing estates that somehow you can't find a talent. Well, yes, you can. And of course, you can spend time developing talent, and we do a lot of that. So working with younger people and developing their talent, help supporting them so that they might in due course, do all sorts of things, but amongst all sorts of things, some of them might want to come and be on our board. So we have, work hard at developing a pipeline of residents. And then I mentioned earlier on that it's not just about physical regeneration, but social and economic development. So investing in people's jobs and skills, investing heavily in young people, in health, in health provision, helping people, supporting people to do well, and supporting people to be able to change their lives and their families and their communities' well-being has been very important alongside of all of that. So these things are what build confidence and also just get people increasingly thinking that this is something we're doing together. It's not something we're waiting around for you to do if you feel like it. And so there was financial investment which enabled local leadership to be backed and to tip the balance in favour of the long journey of families who don't think that anybody cares about them and that there is no way they can affect it. So why shouldn't they dump their thing there? And of young people who nobody believes that they've got a future really themselves, let alone have a future role in changing the place. So we have to try and change that. We are all in this together. We all have a role. And people who live in the states that are struggling have a role, and there are leaders there. And there are people there who would be leaders if only you would back them. If we would back them. And I think that if local authorities are not going to do that, you can't afford to hang around and wait for them to do it. Developers need to find ways to invest in that themselves. Now, I know, resources are limited, but if developers want to build places that are successful, and if the people that are going to manage those estates in the long future are not going to have to spend money and money and money clearing up messes and repairing damage, then invest up front in local leadership. The people who live there understand the place that they live in, and they have the clues to the future, and they understand how to build relationships if you just would resource them.